So you've probably heard on social media before that if you're a business owner, you should be making data-driven decisions, not emotional-based decisions. Now, although this sounds really good, a lot of business owners overthink it, and they also have like no idea honestly where to start because this statement, although true, is made in a very vague term everywhere on the internet. So I'm breaking down as we've scaled, from zero to, $1 million a year in revenue, and as we are working on scaling to an 8-figure run rate here, what data we track, how you should do it, and what it should look like. This is also coming from someone, myself, who has a degree in data science. So this is exactly what I would do at these different levels to ensure that you're making the best data-driven decisions that you can, and really just how to do this. Okay. So starting off at the beginner level, you're going to want to make sure that you're not overthinking it. And what I always recommend doing is just opening up an Excel sheet for whatever you want to track. If you are, tracking how much content you paste, just, type in the video you posted, type in how many views you got next to it, and the date. And just do that, just track that all the way down. And soon you'll start to see, how many pieces of content you post today and how many views you get and like what dates and what times, like what data performs better. You'll just start to know things automatically. And when you're doing this, it doesn't need to be complex. For example, with sales, all you should be tracking at the beginner level, and I'm talking, from your first dollar in revenue a month up to about $20,000 to $25,000 a month in revenue. Just track everything manually in a Google Sheet. Super easy. You can also do Excel if you're more comfortable in that. And all you got to do, like with sales, track how many applications or call bookings you get, how many of those show up, what your show rate is, how many closes you make, what your close rate is. And it just has to be that simple. Like I say all the time here on the channel, data isn't going to solve your problems. It's just going to tell you what they are. Okay. And by having that information somewhere where you can pull it up, and if you track it and it's accurate, it is going to put you leaps and bounds ahead of all of your competition. Now, once you're getting, to pushing that 25K revenue run rate, you're starting to hire employees, all of that manual data entry becomes really cumbersome and it becomes really complex. Someone who isn't you, who isn't as invested in the business, is really liable to mess that up. So at the intermediate level, that's what I like to call the 25K, really up to like 100K in revenue run rate a month, is you want to systematize this. So what I recommend, and my personal favorite right now, and this isn't a sponsorship of any kind, but get on Typeform and create forms for all of that data you want to track for operations, for sales, for lead gen and marketing, all of that information that you want to track, and have it piped into, for example, a Google Sheet. Really easy. And the other thing you want to do once you want to have your better systemized tracking. You want to have an SOP for it. So is this form something they fill out daily, weekly, monthly? Only when certain events occur. You want that to be documentized, and you want your people to know when they're supposed to fill this stuff out. The other thing that you want at this level, because you're going to start to get quite a bit of data building up, is you want to start to build out, I would say, some really basic dashboards. And you can do this using Google Sheets. You don't need anything super fancy, any of the cool tools out there like Tableau or Power BI to do this. All you really need is to make a couple of charts highlighting this information over time. You can Google how to make those charts really easy and get those going. Now at the advanced level, this is when you're really pushing, I'd say $1 to $5 million a year in revenue, or 100K to about 500K a month in revenue, is when you're really going to want to start to hone in on this. I would keep all of those things that you want employees submitting. I'd keep them submitting those through Typeform, and I would keep most of that information going into Google Sheets. It's easy to access, and Google Sheets holds up a lot of different tools. It's really easy to plug into and get that data out of, so you can do some data analysis. And this is at the point where you actually, in my opinion, you want to start doing that data analysis. You want to maybe get a tool like Power BI or Tableau at this point and have dashboards for all of the different areas in your business. And you want to be able to easily view them without having to open up different applications to view them. And what would that look like? Ideally, you're going to have one for sales, you're going to have one for marketing, you're going to have one for internal ops, maybe customer service, and maybe a back-end sales slash that could also be within your ops pipeline for like upsells and downsells of your current customers. And you're going to want one for finance as well. That way you can look at all of those different metrics. Just like when you're driving a car down the road and you look at your dashboard, you can see your speed, your RPM, your fuel, your oil temp, your water temp, all of that stuff, your radiator temp. You want to see all of that information easily so you can make the decisions that you need to run your business. Okay. Also, at this point, I'd recommend setting up some data pipelines, for example, like Supermetrics, where you can easily pull in all of your social media data into your Google Sheets or somewhere like that. And this becomes a little cumbersome. You might want to actually look at hiring someone. I'd recommend a contractor part-time to set this stuff up for you. That way, all of your data is going into those places, and you can pull that into your dashboards, not just all of the information that your employees are submitting via Typeform, for example. And then lastly, once you get past this advanced level, I'll call this the deity level, because this is where you've really made it, and you're looking for every competitive advantage that you can get in the marketplace. And this is really for people, I'd say, really over 8 figures. You might, depending on your market and how maxed out you are and what types of marketing you're doing, at the $5 million run rate, you might want to really consider this. But I really recommend this above the 10 million rate. This is time where you might want to actually look at hiring a business analyst or a data scientist. And this is when your infrastructure starts to look vastly different, because you're going to end up with so much data at this point with the client, the lead flow, the clients you're working with, all of your marketing efforts, that you're really going to want to consider, instead of storing stuff on Google Sheet when you get into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of rows, you're going to want to move all of that data into a database. And this is just simply because Google Sheets has its limitations with how much information can be stored on each sheet, and also how fast that information can be essentially pulled into dashboards. And you'll notice if you want to tweak dashboards at this point, it's going to take a long time for those dashboards to think. And if you have everything in a database, those queries can run a lot faster. This is also where you really, in my opinion, can really leverage this new era of AI. A lot of people use these tools of these models that are already made, but what they're missing out on is those are models that have been trained to do a specific task. Now, you can train models on data for your business to give you certain insights. For example, let's say you're in the real estate area and you teach people how to wholesale, and you notice you have a certain uptick with call no-show rates, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You can train a model when you have enough data, and I'm talking 10,000 plus lines of data really here, so you can have an accurate model. You can train a model that's going to predict whether or not that call booking application is going to show up or not. And when you have that model deployed in your business, it can give you a huge competitive advantage for your sales team. Okay. Of course, there's more and more tools like this already being integrated into tons of softwares out there. So again, this is where you have to use your brain, and you have to look at things where, can I get this in a software that's already built out, that uses more information than I have access to, and compare that with what proprietary information that I have that is only like this in my business, and how can I use this to a competitive advantage. So once you're there, sky is really the limit, because you're doing all of the cool stuff and you're leveraging that data, and you're building out a team to take all of that data in your business and leverage it to its fullest extent. Okay. Now, if this video was helpful at all, please subscribe to the channel and drop a follow. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Now, again, this isn't a perfect model for anything. This is just simply my opinion with what I've experienced in growing our business, and with what I've learned. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great day.